This is Metroid Prime Remastered on the Nintendo Switch, video number 2. I'm on the Tallon overworld, as you saw earlier, and I played through the prologue already with the escape from Ridley and the Parasite Queen and all the other nonsense. It took me 30 seconds to get accustomed to these dual stick controls that have been set up for this game. So again, I finally found a Metroid Prime game I'm willing to play. So let's play through as much of this as we can. I might give us a couple more hours. But yeah, the game controls much better now. I'm far more comfortable just moving around, just whipping the camera around and zapping enemies. It feels great. This is how elegant the controls should have been when the game first came out. So I appreciate that. Floaty jumps, just like every other Metroid game. Does the job. I'm not complaining. But I replenished my ammo and my energy, and that's what matters. So there you go. Alright, let's do the thing. Where are we headed? Because we have a map. Press the plus button to get that map out. We'll just kind of explore. We have a ground zero save. I mean, we don't really have a choice. I can't just create multiple game saves. Unless I'm willing to play through the first 30 minutes all over again. I'm definitely not willing to do that. Because I wanted this to be my ground zero save, but whatever. Don't have a double jump yet. Nope, don't do it. Careful, careful. But again, it's just a way easier for me to navigate. It's just way easier for me to get around in this game. Well, wait. Did I miss something here? Huh. Yeah, I thought I could make that jump. Maybe I can't. No, I can't make that jump. So I can probably come back to this place later. You see? Good looking game. I mean, there's just enough detail in the textures to make the game look better than it did on the original, when it did on launch. On the GameCube. So props. I mean, maybe I should turn up the sound effects a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Good enough. I just wanted to hear myself think, so I'm glad this game has volume sliders. Ow! Well, I can't charge up my gun. Oh well. Shoot it! I also can't do auto-targeting on those mushrooms. But the red reticle means I can shoot it. That's what matters. Ow! Bastard. Yeah, nothing else going on around here, huh? Yeah, I thought I can get up there. Maybe I can't. It's a Metroid game. You're supposed to bust your head against the wall, see which one you can actually get through. That's Metroid in a nutshell, right? There was a local radio personality here in the Washington D.C. area that said something along the lines of, "Not a big fan of Metroid. A lot of wandering around." I mean, he wasn't wrong. Okay, I can't use the morph ball yet, so I have to find the morph ball, or I can do some sequence breaking crap, which all the speedrunners love to do. But we'll worry about that later. If I'm really into the game, I'll do the sequence breaking. But to me, sequence breaking is the kind of thing that people who are fans of this game do. I'm not trying to sequence break now if I haven't played the game for realsies in like 15 years, you know what I mean? Like I said, I played this game on launch. I rented it from Hollywood Video. Or I think I rented it from I can't tell. It might have been Hollywood Video. But I want to say at the time I was living in Gaithersburg, near the now defunct Lake Forest Mall. There was a GameStop inside of Lake... Actually, no. There was an electronics boutique inside of Lake Forest Mall. Which is how I bought a bunch of PS2 games, like Cold Deception Saga, which I believe is... Well, I had Cold Deception on the PS2. I sold it probably a decade ago. But I do have a copy of Cold Deception Saga on the Xbox 360, which I keep promising to play for y'all. That's right. No charge beam. You can just tap on that ZL button to auto-lock on the enemies. I guess they'll respawn I guess they'll regenerate out of the sand if I come back to this room later. Like all Metroid enemies. When you go through a door, the next sector just reloads all the enemies. They respawn all the enemies, you know how it is. These big old rotating reticles. I dig it. Again, it makes targeting very easy. It makes it very easy to determine what enemies you can lock onto. Now, you can't lock onto those mushrooms, but they will explode, so you want to get them out of your way before you jump on a platform with them. You're going to see? Platforming's pretty easy in this game. So they did it. They figured it out. Again, this is the way the game's supposed to play, I think. Like Borderlands level control in the first-person view. I am a fan. Oh, it might be one of those invincible enemies. Yeah, they form spikes when you shoot them, like in the original Metroid. You know, they just kind of have these enemies that crawl on walls and you can't destroy, unless you have a missile or something, most likely. Or maybe they were completely, or maybe they're like enemies you can freeze because they're completely invincible. Shoot it! Fade me. I am a fan. So yeah, these controls work. Bah, of course I can't use this weapon. Why should I be able to use a weapon? Yeah, I guess I have to come back later because this is a Metroid game. You have to come back later. Again, you bash your head against a bunch of walls to see which one actually crumbles. It's a Metroid game. It's the original Metroidvania. Although I think Govelius on the was it Govelius on the MSX Japanese PC? Okay, I'm getting super geeky with this, but apparently before Metroid there were games like Govelius, which were 2D games where you could explore on Japanese PCs back in the mid-1980s. And then, of course, Metroid was eventually developed with the idea of bringing that sort of free-roaming freedom to a more mainstream console. Although, okay, I should probably mention this. Let me turn down the music a bit. I should probably mention this during this rant. Okay, apparently the original Metroid game was not very popular in Japan. When it originally launched, it was launched on an unpopular console. Or an unpopular console variant called the Famicom Disk System. Obviously, here in the United States, we got the NES, which was the North American equivalent to the Famicom. Not completely the same, but it had most of the functionality of the Famicom. But one of the things the original Japanese Famicom allowed was the ability to create peripherals that could be attached to the bottom of the Famicom unit. There's a serial port on the bottom of the NES, which the nerds know about this. Apparently it was never really used for anything here in the United States, but in Japan it was used to make add-ons, which in this case was a Famicom Disk System, which allowed the Famicom to play games on floppy disks, like a special kind of floppy disk. I guess they were kind of like those. How would you describe them? They weren't floppies. I think they were like those double density discs you might remember from the 1990s. Where am I going? Let me see where I actually want to go. I mean, this isn't like Breath of the Wild. I can't like lay down waypoints like in Skyrim or anything. The game isn't that modernized. that would be insane. Why would you want to play a free roaming video game with waypoint markers or anything else that would make the navigation easier? I mean, I've only played Breath of the Wild for like 5 hours, but it just seems weird that some games just never got the quality of life improvements that game provided. I've already been this way. I can't open the door. Yeah, I can't open the door through that weapon. So I can't like put like an X here that says I need a new weapon or something. But the blue means any beam. Okay, so I guess that's what that means. The blue doors on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a legend. All the blue icons here are doors that can be opened with any beam. So I want to go down to the bottom floor and turn right. So I'll go down and turn right. Right down there. So we'll work our way back over there. I'm supposed to climb then fall. That's typical video game exploration strategy, but I don't think I can go any higher at this point. I can try to go... Let me rotate this a bit. Can I turn to the right and climb? Yeah, there are two options here for me. I might not be able to go through that door. Let's see if I can go to the right. Behind me to the right, there might be a door I can go through. But that might require me to climb up there, so it might not work. Give me a second. I might be able to get over there. I probably can't. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I can't get up there. There's a door up there, probably, right where that land bridge is, where I'm pointing at right now. I probably can't get over there. Okay, so we'll come back over there and worry about it later. I already came that way, so we're going to go this way. So we're going to go down to the bottom floor. Yeah, I also don't have the grappling hook. Ow! Bastard. Yeah, someone I met on Discord is like, hey, the hostility of this world is cool. The hostility of the original Metroid games world is cool. I'm like, okay, fine, but all the corridors look samey and there are lone landmarks. You can't make a map very easily because the free roaming areas don't allow you to easily make a map. So you have to like create it. You have to like, you know the meme about the, you know the meme. The meme where the guy has like a bunch of post-it notes tethered together with carpenter wire and thumbtacks. That meme. That's how you make a map for Metroid. You can eventually clean it up, but it also means the game's kind of a pain to stream because it means you're wasting a bunch of time drawing maps when you should be streaming. You can make a map, though. It's just, I don't think it's a streamer-friendly game unless you actually know where you're going. If you're trying to play the game for the first time, you're going to have to deal with that nonsense. Which is why I haven't played much of Metroid on this channel, because I have played it, but it's very hard to map. I don't want to. I'm trying to play the game from the beginning, but people like Jeremy Parrish have tried to make. They actually make streams where they play the game while drawing a map. Okay, so now I can step on the hologram. But yeah, Metroid is the kind of game that I do kind of want to play while I'm streaming, or at least while I'm making a map, so I can learn how to play the game in real time by making a map, because I've beaten the game before, but I haven't memorized the layout. So it's the kind of game that's made for a first timer playing like an amateur run, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to play the game the way it was meant to be intended, but it just makes for boring content because I'd have to keep splicing up the video into a bunch of small chunks, then combining them into one big chunk. Because every time I have to draw a map, I have to pause the video. Which I could do. Okay, we got incoming scan data. I don't care about the... Okay, remember this game's like Myst. It's about pixel hunting and lure dumping. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, Myst was an extremely popular game. I think it was the first CD... It was the first CD that sold 1 million copies in America, right? Or maybe in Japan, too. Plus. Okay, so that's for the map. So I think this is the way I'm supposed to go. I can't tell anymore. Go away! Like I said, it's a bug hunt. But I was saying earlier, like, Metroid was released on an unpopular console because the Famicom disc was an add-on to the Famicom. Think of it like the Sega CD, I guess. You bought a Sega Genesis and you bought an accessory that played CD-ROMs. This is the same thing, except you inserted floppy disks instead of CDs. And it was incredibly unpopular. But I mean, it was from an engineering standpoint, it made sense because floppy disks could hold more data more cheaply than cartridges could. Because you might remember this. Memory was very expensive back then. A game like Super Mario Brothers used very expensive ROM chips back then. You were spending like what, $20, $30 on like a quarter of a kilobyte of memory, right? No, it was like, no, what was it? It was 250 kilobytes. So that's like what is that? That's like a meme. That's like the size of a meme. It's the size of a JPEG on the internet. Like, imagine one of those really old memes. Like, what's a really old meme? Like a single image, like a single low definition photograph on the internet. That's how big the Super Mario Brothers video game was. And you were spending $40 for a ROM chip that was large enough to hold the equivalent of a meme photo. Like the meme of Drake. The meme of Drake making all the gesticulating. You know, that meme is the size of Super Mario Brothers. So imagine spending $40. I mean, memory is cheap. You kids don't know. Imagine spending $40 on a cartridge that's the size of the Drake meme. I mean, just think about it. That's how expensive hard drive space was. That's how expensive, you know, cartridges were back then. You had that little memory. You had to make the entire game fit on that teensy-weensy amount of memory. And nowadays, you know, everyone's, you know, killing everyone's draining everyone's data plan because of their stupid freaking memes. That's what I mean. It's like video games were very expensive. Maybe not so much to make, but they were very expensive to store. So if you're Nintendo, you're saying, you know what? Chips are expensive. Let's come out with this new floppy disk-based console. I can't use the ball here. Yeah, I can't use the ball here. Yeah, I don't have the morph ball ability, so I can't get through here. Does this show up on the map? So you made a Famicom. So you made a floppy disk-based accessory for the Famicom, so you could make larger games like CD-ROMs. They're a cheap way to store a lot of data. They were 100 times larger. They were what? A CD-ROM was 200 times larger than the 16 megabit cartridge that the Street Fighter II was printed on, was burnt onto. I can't go through this door, can I? Yeah, what was remember when Strider came out on the Genesis? It was 8 megabits. That was huge. That was that was an expensive game. Street Fighter II, when it first came out, was 2 megabytes. Well, now you have CD-ROMs that are 300 times bigger than that. And they're cheap. They're way cheaper. You know, the only video games that compared, the only cartridges that compared in size to a CD-ROM were like, Neo Geo cartridges weren't that big. They cost hundreds of dollars. Like Fatal Fury, when the original Fatal Fury came out, like a year after Street Fighter II, Fatal Fury came out, that was like what? That was like what? 4 megabits, I want to say? That was like 4 megabytes? No, it was times 4. It was like 10 megabytes when it came out. Oh, it's 8. Sorry, it was 8 megabits. It was 7 megabits. It was 7 megabytes. That was a 7 megabyte cartridge. The Fatal Fury Neo Geo cartridge, when that game came out, was the size of an MP3. Okay? That's how tiny, that's how much memory you could fit. And that cartridge cost $150 freaking dollars. So imagine spending $150 on a cartridge that's the size of a Drake song. So again, with the Drake references. So the Super Mario Brothers cartridge was the size of a Drake meme, and a Neo Geo cartridge from 1994 cost $150, and it only held as much data as a Drake song, and not those AI songs either. That's how expensive memory was back then. So Nintendo was saying, you know what? Let's do the thing. And let's make a console. Can I go that way? So I need the morph ball to get here. Is there another blue door I can go through? That's the elevators. I think I'm just hosed. Can I go to the left? Excuse me. Sorry about that. Down there, I guess. Is there fall damage? I'm gonna find out in a second. I'm not dead. Got my superhuman arch support. The superhuman ankles, and I can't open that door. So I'm wasting my time. Okay, so I can't open this freaking door. I'm pressing the R button, and my missile is making a noise, but I don't have any missiles to shoot. But it's a nice touch. So you hold down the R button, and you get like a tiny stream. You get a tiny burst, but I can't charge up the gun. So I'm just wasting my time here, aren't I? No, I want to go this way. Here it is. I should have gone this way. There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. I don't even know where I am right now, if I'm being honest. A save point would be nice, but I think we've made our point. There's nowhere else I can really go. Well, that. Shoot it! I can't lock on to these. Okay. So I can lock on to enemies, but I can't lock on to, like, environmental hazards, I guess. Which I guess makes sense because they don't move. So I guess that makes sense. I can understand the logic a little bit. This is where I died when I played the... Yeah, this is close to where I died when I played the Wii version. I was dealing with those circling enemies. Those circling bugs I was trying to beat. And I gave up playing the game at that point because it was just too frustrating to control the camera and the targeting with those freaking Wiimotes. We're not going to talk about that. Not yet. We'll get back to complaining about that later, just not now. So yeah, the Famicom Disk System was not a very popular system in Japan, and Metroid was released only on the Famicom Disk System, and it did not sell well. So the game didn't have much of a legacy in Japan. But so when it came out in the United States, so the question you're supposed to be asking, class, if there was no Famicom Disk System released in the United States, why did we play Metroid on our cartridge? Well, I'm glad you asked, because apparently right around the time the Famicom Disk System bombed, Nintendo was like, okay, we need a special kind of chip that allows for larger cartridges, because here is the save spot. So the original Famicom and the NES had a size limit on the cartridges it was allowed to play. The largest cartridge apparently that it was capable of playing, the largest regular cartridge that it was capable of playing was a 256 kilobyte cartridge. That was the size of Super Mario Brothers. When that game was released, Nintendo's engineers were using the largest possible cartridge size on that original Famicom hardware. So, video games could be no large. The cartridges for these video games could be no larger than 256 kilobytes, apparently. So the way it works is, if you're Nintendo, you're saying is, okay, we want to make a game that's a little bit bigger than that, but we can't use floppy disks because we can't release the Famicom Disk System in America because the NES. I need a morph ball. I need a morph ball to get here. Too bad I don't have the ability to transform into a morph ball. So I guess I'm just going the wrong way. Is that the problem? Opened. So could I turn right? So this is the way I came, isn't it? So, as I was saying, they had to make a special kind of chip that allowed for larger cartridge sizes. Yeah, I need to go this way. So apparently the way it works is that you create this special kind of chip that allows for larger cartridge sizes, and it's called a memory mapper. Was it a memory mapper chip? An MMC chip, which I believe was called the MMC-1. And apparently the way it worked is that it allowed for, what do they call it, bank switching. So basically, instead of having one 256 kilobyte chip on a cartridge, you had a memory mapper chip and several 256 kilobyte chips. I believe that's how it worked. I'm not going to be able to say more about that until I do a bit more research on it. But the whole point of it is, instead of the NES could only handle 256 kilobytes of data in a cartridge. So if you're a programmer, you're saying, how do I access more than 256 kilobytes of data? Well, you use these memory mapper chips. You send some instructions to the memory mapper chip saying, hey guys, switch from bank number 1 to bank number 2 or whatever. So let's say you have like a shoe box that's 200. How do I say this? Let's say you have a shoe box that's 256 kilobytes large. So you put some of your data in one shoe box, you put some of your data in the second shoe box, then you use a memory mapper chip to sort of mention the location. So you're Nintendo and you say, okay, switch from the first shoe box to the second shoe box. We'll just say that's what they're doing. Because the data we need, all the data we need will not fit in one shoe box. So we need to tell the memory mapper chip, switch to the second shoe box, and then continue playing the game from here. That's basically, I guess that's basically how it works. Again, I can't say much more than that. And we're about to reach a boss, I guess. Or those orbiting bugs, I don't know. Good thing I saved my game earlier. So where am I specifically? So Metroid was able to be released in the United States using a special chip. And that special chip allowed larger video games like Metroid to be created without using a fancy floppy disk drive. So it served the same purpose as the floppy disk drive. It was faster than the floppy disk drive, obviously. Because the floppy disk drive, floppy disks are slow. So you have to load the data, and loading data off a floppy drive back then was a lot slower than loading it from a cartridge. Yeah, I remember this part. Yes, this is the part where I gave up on the Wii version. But it's a lot easier to aim now, so it's like easy mode. Am I done? No, I'm not. You have to use the stereo sound to locate all the creatures. Does this game have Dolby surround sound? That would be cool. No, wait. I don't think they haven't touched me yet. This is way easier than the Wii version. And I'm thankful for that. Am I supposed to shoot this thing? Yeah, I'm supposed to shoot this thing. Yeah, that was bad aim. I tried to get my auto-targeting and it didn't work. Maybe I don't need it. Got him. Suck it. So I can just kind of spam the L1, the L button, I guess. Or the ZL button. Yeah, the ZL button. Haha, you missed. Guess I dodged. I wasn't paying attention. I have to wait till they stop spinning, which is the other problem. Ow! I'm taking some hits now. Finally, jeez. I did it, fam. I finally beat my progress in Metroid Prime Trilogy. Like I said, it's amazing how easy a game is to play when you have better controls. That stupid waggle crap. Can we never do the waggle controls ever again in a video game? Well, I mean, like, okay, make it optional, but never make waggle controls mandatory. Unless you have, like, really good, like, MetaQuest, Oculus Rift controls or something. I don't know. So now I've earned missiles. I don't know. Were there any missiles? I think, yeah, there were some doors that I couldn't open with my regular gun. Like that one, for instance. Doors like this. ZR. Bada bing. Yeah, I think there was some kind of change to that missile lock. Yeah, I think those missile locks, those missile locks that I just blasted off, I think those are different on the GameCube version than on this one. I think they changed something. I don't know what they changed. But it's a nerdy thing. Like if you're really familiar with Metroid Prime, I think there was some kind of mini scandal because everything's a miniature, everything's a mini scandal, and everything's a mini tempest in a teapot these days when it comes to alterations from the original video game content. You know what I mean? The video game purists always complain when changes are made. Well, it's probably a minor thing, really. So can I leave now? Because there was a door I couldn't go through until I get the morph ball. So I'm curious when I get the morph ball. But again, Okay, so the gray doors are missile doors now? I think there's one missile door around here, but there's also like a morph ball tunnel that I can't go into, so I'm gonna have to come back later and do that. Now what? I don't know what all these warnings are about. What? Oh! Oh, that warning. Oh, you mean that? Must be the gas. Maybe it's the gas. Oh, and there's a warning meter on the left side of the screen with a little exclamation mark. Shoot it! I get these. If I can get these power ups, if I can get my energy back. I am very curious. Yeah, I think that was in the original GameCube game, so it's a nice touch. See again, lighting effects. See, they got lighting effects. No ray tracing. Who needs ray tracing in a video game? Imagine doing ray tracing on a Nintendo Switch. But who needs ray tracing? You can do stuff like this. But obviously, ray traced effects look way better if you have the horsepower to pull them off and they're properly tuned. And I think if the ray tracing is properly calibrated for the hardware, then yeah. For the art style, then yeah, it's gonna look better than this. But I think this is more than sufficient. But you know, again, people feel some kind of way about global illumination and crap in their video games. I'm like, whatever. Like, Lumen Nanites going to make video games look amazing, yeah, but it's also going to be stupid expensive. We're going to have to spend, like, thousands of dollars on our... We're gonna have to add hundreds of dollars to our electric bills. Yeah, we're going to spend hundreds of dollars more a year just so we can get the freaking ray tracing in our freaking video games now. Thanks. Thanks, gamers. Like, are we going to get better AI in video games? I don't know. Are we going to get the more dynamic gameplay? I don't know. But we're going to have better looking video games? Oh, sure. They'll be ridiculously expensive. We're going to need like $600 video cards to run them. And we're going to need to spend $1,000. We're going to need to spend a whole kilowatt hour just to play a freaking video game now. But yeah, they'll look amazing. I'm sorry. I'm ranting about something else now other than the controls in the Wii version. So I guess I got distracted on another rant. Look, your boy loves video games, but I don't want to spend a whole kilowatt hour just playing a freaking video game. I'm playing this on a Switch. This is a video game. I'm playing a Switch game. I'm playing on a Switch that's recording on a laptop, okay? This laptop costs $200. The Switch costs $200. I'm using less power right now. Like, if I just turn on my desktop right now, that thing's going to use more power than both of these things combined. Now, admittedly, I'm playing on like a 16-inch screen. So, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, if I want to play this on my 43-inch, I can. I don't see the point, but I can. When I play like Skyrim, yeah, I break out the 40-incher, you know, whatever. I get the 4K screen for that. Metroid Prime, whatever. 720p on a laptop is fine. But yeah, sure, I can plug this into my 4K TV. In fact, I'll probably do this when I'm done recording this video. And I'll play it on my 4K screen, and it's still going to look good. It's going to be 720p content, blown up to 4K. It's going to look great. But again, it's like all this nonsense about once you play games in 4K, you can't go back. I'm like, screw that. I play video games on my 4K screen all the time and then switch back to my Switch to play games on a tiny 4-inch monitor. We got bugs. We got bees. Yeah, where's the hive that's generating them? That's the question. Yeah, it's over there somewhere, I think. Like, I mean, you know me. Like, I'll play freaking Game Boy games on a 4K screen. I recognize how stupid that is. But that's my point, is that I am perfectly capable of playing video games on a 4K screen at 60 frames a second. But I don't need to do it every time. I'm not incapable of playing a video game on a smaller screen and enjoying myself. I mean, again, I'm playing this on a 15-inch laptop. I'm perfectly fine with it. And again, the lag is perfectly fine. The input lag on this J5 Create USB-C adapter is perfectly fine. Plugged into this laptop with a Windows 10 camera app, the lag is perfectly fine, as you can see. I mean, I'm not speed running this. But again, I want to play this game with this controller, with this dual stick gamepad on a 9-watt video game console plugged into a freaking laptop with a 45-watt power adapter plugged into it. It's not even using all 45 watts. So in the summertime, when it gets too hot and I want to, keep my temperatures cool while I game, I can just whip out this thing. Oh, there are missiles over there. Did I miss those missiles? I can't get to those missiles, can I? Okay, I can't even get to those missiles. So I need to get the morph ball. I can't get anywhere till I get the morph ball. Too bad there's no fast travel in this video game, so it's easier for me to skip from save point to save point. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? That would also it would also make speed runs a lot easier, obviously. But how do I go back? That's the way I came. That was the boss that I just beat to get to this, so we're fine. So at least the green doors are the ones I've already gone through. We're probably gonna need to go through the elevator. Where am I going? Head to the right and go through that tunnel. That tunnel down there. There we go. So I'll use the morph ball later. We'll open more content. But again, they're showing you the morph ball tunnels, so you know to come back here later, and that's perfectly fine by me. Hold on. Open up, doofus. Okay, maybe I can't shoot him. Worry about it later. Yeah, we're not killing him. We're just, making him shut those eyes. There we go. We're good. Like I said, I don't know if I'm a fan of this game, but yeah, I'm willing to play a bunch of, if you told me for the next 10 years, video games will look like this and they'll run like this because 4K is going to be too expensive and ray tracing's too expensive, and if you told me the most popular video games of the next decade are going to look this good and run this well, and they're not going to have ray tracing, or there'll be ray tracing options, but they won't be worth it, I'm like, I'm fine with that. I don't mean to imply that I want 2004, remasters to be the future of video games for the foreseeable future, but I am saying that a video game with this much geometry and this much detail and this kind of lighting, like, this is a perfectly acceptable aesthetic for budget video games. Like, for double A video game development. Like, obviously, games that look like Doom Eternal and Assassin's Creed Valhalla and what's the other game? Far Cry 7, Call of Duty 2023, like Star Citizen, they're going to look a lot better than this. They aren't going to run as well as this. You're going to need a $700 console, or you're going to need a $600 video card plugged into a $1,000 PC to get a game that looks that good. And that will run at a decent frame rate. But if you want a game that runs at 60 frames a second that looks like this, thankfully, you won't need a PS5. But I think the prospect of we're not going to see any more Xbox One games that look like this that run at 60 frames a second. That's unfortunate. Maybe some indie developer will come around and make a 3D game that looks this good. And it'll run at 60 frames a second, and Digital Foundry will lose their minds because it's so great to see a game that looks this good that runs at 60 frames a second on a Switch. And then they'll just go right back to complaining about the fact that it's not in 4K, or they'll go right back to complaining about the fact that the lighting effects are dated, or the textures look kind of pixelated. They'll go back to complaining about the stuff that's marginal. They'll go back to complaining about the fact that the game doesn't look as good as, Deathloop or that Housemarque game on the PS5. What was that called? Yeah, what was that Housemarque game on the PS5? They'll go back to complaining about games that don't look as good as PS5 games. Well, I got my missile. Give me a second. R button. Missile lock is off. So I'm making progress now. Just let me know where the morph ball is. Maybe I can get a few more energy power-ups. There we go. Nope, those were bombs. Guess I deserve that. So I got one energy power-up at least. So yeah, I was talking about the Metroid not being a particularly popular game on in Japan because it got released exclusively on a console no one bought. So the NES version was extremely popular because it was released with that special memory mapper chip. It sold millions of copies, and Metroid became a much more popular franchise in North America than it ever did in Japan. It became one of the big three along with Zelda and Mario, apparently. I was told, that's what I was told. I tend to believe them. So when Nintendo decides to finally make a sequel, it's a Game Boy exclusive. Now, you might ask yourself, it's kind of ballsy to release a mainline sequel to an incredibly popular franchise on a portable console that's only in monochrome and has a very like the Game Boy was a terrible console in terms of like the screen was incredibly blurry. It can only display four colors in monochrome. Like it was incredible. It was less powerful than the NES. Like it was not much like the Switch. It was not an ideal console, but I think we can argue. I mean, obviously the Switch is a more powerful console than the Wii U was, as you can see by games like this. But it's like, yeah, we're holding down the ZL button to lock on and circle strafe. Again, it's really easy to circle strafe when you have dual stick controls and you don't have to worry about the freaking waggle nonsense. It's super easy to circle strafe in this game. So if you want to dodge and lock on and do all the other fun stuff that you normally would want to do in like a first-person shooter, here you are. Here we are. We're doing it. We did it, fam. Remember, I can dodge with the B button. See? Got to hit him from behind. Ah, you suck. Might need one more cycle. I think I made 2 more cycles. I think he slides to the right twice. He slides a couple of times, then charges you. That did it. See, it's easy to circle strafe in this. Again, this is how I want Metroid Prime to play. I want it to be easy for me to circle around, do all of my, pro level elite traversal tricks or whatever. I mean, this is pretty conventional gamer interface that I'm using. And this is pretty conventional, gamer skills I'm displaying here. So nothing fancy here. So again, it's amazing. A game with controls that are properly calibrated can be more entertaining to play because you're making the game more accessible instead of making people learn a new freaking martial art. Again, I would much rather play this than Doom on the original Doom on PC or Quake because it's just easier for me to control. I don't have to worry about finger yoga every time I want to move my character around, and like I do when I play Quake or Unreal Tournament. I own those CDs. In fact, I could whip out Unreal Tournament right now and plug it into my laptop and probably play it eventually. But I don't relish playing that game on a keyboard and mouse. It would drive me nuts. I'm not comfortable playing games like that. But this I can play. I don't need the auto targeting, honestly. I don't need the super hand-holdy auto aim, really. But this isn't a game about headshots, kids. It's rated T. Obviously, you're not allowed to have headshots in a. You weren't allowed to have headshots in an M-rated in a T-rated game, if I'm not mistaken. So I got the morph ball. So let's save my progress. Let's do this instead. See, now we're talking. Alright, so where are we going? Nowhere in particular, I guess. So yeah, they made the sequel for Metroid on a Game Boy, which was way more popular than obviously the Famicom Disk System. So I don't know how well the game sold in Japan, but when Super Metroid was being released in America, Nintendo Power was doing its preview coverage, like behind the scenes coverage, prior to the game's release. And they said at the time, Metroid was never that popular in Japan. They never talked about the Game Boy version, the Game Boy sequel. But, I mean, for Japan, they're like, you know what? No one played the original game anyway, so we might as well release a sequel on Game Boy. I mean, everyone's playing Tetris on this thing. So we might as well make a Game Boy for it. So they did. We might as well make a Game Boy sequel, and they did. I played it. I mean, it probably sold a couple million copies here in America. I'll double check. The save is behind me? So it's behind the door I just left? Alright, sorry. That saved my game. So I got the morph ball, so save our game. Let's see where we can go. Excuse me. So the game... Wait, is it this way? It is this way. Okay, fine. Excuse me. So the Game Boy sequel comes out. I played it. Again, some of the music's good, but like most Metroid games, there's not a lot of good music in it. It's just kind of atmospheric and not particularly notable. It's a music. It's not even a music bed. It's very atmospheric and minimalistic, and it's a Metroid soundtrack. Hold on. There are some morph ball tunnels over here, so I'll get to those in a second. Can I shoot this? I don't think so. Yes, this is not a missile door. Yes, it's not a missile door. Backwards. Went the wrong way. So, then I don't know how well Super Metroid did in Japan, but again, Nintendo was kind of trying to get people like excited in Japan about this franchise. It was extremely popular elsewhere. But of course, but again, since none of those games really got any traction in Japan, apparently, when Metroid Prime was being developed on the GameCube, I think they would try to do it on the N64 at some point. But it comes out on the GameCube, and they're like, you know, we'll get Retro Studios out in Austin, Texas, to do it because you know North America loves Samus, so we'll get the Americans to do it. And I guess I don't know how Miyamoto got I think Retro might have done like a prototype where they said, oh, this is how Metroid would look in first person. Because you know, first person shooters were huge in America in the early 2000s. So maybe Miyamoto... I can't blow myself up, can I? No bombs. So I guess I can't go this way, then. Okay, forget I said anything. I was all excited. Now I can't even go this way. So I need bombs. Yeah, we need bombs. Yeah, I can't shoot it. And I can't use a missile. So obviously I can only use bombs. Because, you know, logic, right? So I can't go that way, wasting my time. But I did save, so that's what matters. I saved my progress. I have an entire playthrough of Super Metroid on this channel, including one of my most popular videos, the how to do the wall jump video, which is like 40 seconds long. But it's like I was playing. I played through the game on launch. There's a purple door over here that I'm not gonna be able to open, can I? There's a purple door right there, right here that I can't open. Oh well, we'll get around to that later. It might be like a charge. It might be like a charge beam door or something. I want to say there's a morph ball door I need to be able to go through, and it might be near the elevator over there. So turn left. Yeah, turn left and around. Yeah, this is the place where I got this is the place where I got the missiles over there to the right. So I'm gonna go to the left and go back. There, right? Give me a second. Yeah, to the left. To the left, to the left. Everybody in the house, to the left. Over there. So yeah, that Super Mario Brothers movie is making all the money now. It made $40 million in its fourth weekend. It's like that Ninja Turtles movie or something. So when are we getting that Zelda movie everyone wants to see? Because it won't be a comedy, so I don't know how they're going to make that work. I guess you can hire Illumination to do that, but personally I would hire Pixar, but I don't bother anymore. Like, do you want Illumination to do a Zelda movie and a Metroid movie? Like, part of me feels like, yeah, you should hire, like, maybe Production IG can do it. But then they'll make it CGI, and I really don't want an anime CGI. Although Infinity Force, I think it was called, had decent Japanese CGI. I'm one of the few people who doesn't hate Vexil. I haven't seen that. I mean, of course, that Captain Harlock movie, that CGI Captain Harlock movie got released a few years ago. It's streaming for free on YouTube right now, I want to say, and I believe it's also on Tubi TV, IMDb TV. I think the free. I think it's streaming for free there with ads. I'll pull it out. I saw like the first 30 minutes of it. It might be all right, but it looks like Vexil. Like it looks like a Japanese CGI motion capture heavy movie. I don't know if it's any good, but remember, speaking of space pirates, speaking of anime space pirates, Leiji Matsumoto died in March, I believe, back when I was recording my Metroid Prime trilogy video back in the day. So as always, pour out some sake for. Actually, he was a wine drinker or whatever. Pour one out for Matsumoto Sensei. He was an OG. Hey, which way am I going? Yeah, I need more health. Y'all better drop some health. Of course, the modern Metroid games are better about dropping health compared to the original NES game. They tend to give you the power-ups you need. Which wasn't really the case. The original game might have made. I want to say the original Metroid made you farm for like 5 minutes to get your. Because when you died and respawned, turn left. When you died and respawned, go this way. Just a second. That's the elevator. See if we can go up and left. Yeah, can I go up and left? Let's see if I can get up that tree. Give me a second. I might have to climb. Let me make sure I'm going the right way. I can never remember if I'm going the right way. I'm trying to get my bearings. Give me a second. Do I need to go through that door? I guess I can go to the ruined shrine again to see what's up. I can't even go through here, can I? Well, I'm trying to remember if I came this way before. Give me the loot. Come on, give it up. Well, I got an energy tank too. I totally forgot about the energy tanks I picked up. Did I get 2 of them or just 1? I guess I thought I got 2. I think I got 1 of them after I picked up the missiles. So is there anything? Yeah, I already came this way, so sorry. I already came this way. Can I take the morph ball to get up here? Dude, 720 to a fakey ollie grind. Yeah, I can't use morph ball augmentation. Tony Hawk was pretty big when this game came out in the GameCube, or at least it was still pretty popular. I want to say the Switch version of Tony Hawk 1, the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake requires a download, doesn't it? But as long as it includes Tony Hawk 1 with Tony Hawk 2 mechanics, I think that's perfectly fine. Can I go up? I might not be able to reach that, so we'll find out a bit later. Sorry, hold on just a second. I gotta deal with these guys. I guess I can just run away. So I was mentioning earlier when I was playing what was that game called? Pardon the demonetization trigger. Drunken Robot Pornography. The G-rated first-person shooter I was playing on my laptop 5 or 6 years ago. I have a video of that on my low-spec PC gaming playlist. That's a game that looks about as good as this game does. So I want to see more Switch games that look like that too, because I figured like that game was developed by an indie crew for PCs. I think it was like a Dutch company that did that game for PCs. It's an indie game, and apparently they had some very good, a low polygon, very colorful 3D game engines. So I want to see a bunch more video games that look like that. But again, they don't have like, the fancy global illumination. They don't have nanite or lumen or any other nonsense. But people feel some kind of way about their nanite and their lumens. I can't do a speed burst. So I can't get up there. So let's just go back down the elevator. We're gonna end the video when we go back down the elevator, I suppose. We'll figure it out. Don't want to waste too much time wandering around. Where are they at? There we go. There was one more. There's an elevator over there. Can we go up any higher? I want to say no. Yeah, we can't really go any higher, so we're gonna take that W and just leave. We're gonna take the L and leave. I think we did good enough. Where's the elevator? Over here? Yeah, it's over here. We did alright. See, now it's a GameCube game. We only have like what? 80 megabytes of RAM, so we gotta load the next area. I want to say the PlayStation 2 had 64 megabytes of RAM. GameCube, I think, had about 80. I want to say the original Xbox had 96. But of course, by the time the successors came out, the PS3 had 256 megabytes of RAM. The Xbox 360 had twice as much, and a more powerful processor, so all that helped, definitely. And the Wii, how much did the Wii even have? I think they couldn't have had more than 128. I want to say they had like 128. It was a paltry number. Like the joke about the Wii is that it was two GameCubes duct taped together. In terms of processing power, it pretty much was. Like it was. The GameCube had what, 450 megabytes or 450 megahertz. The Wii was 700 megahertz. It probably doubled the RAM that the GameCube had, but not much more than that. But what was it? Like the hardcore console doofuses were like, yeah, like you gotta have geometric, levels of, power. Power needed to increase geometrically, and then the Wii was Nintendo conceding that they weren't gonna chase the Xbox or the PS3 in terms of power. They wanted to keep their consoles less expensive, I suppose. And it worked because, remember, Nintendo stopped playing the power game back in... Remember, the Nintendo 64 is supposed to be way more powerful than the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn, and it bombed. Like, it bombed. I think it sold 9 million units. The original NES sold, what, 80? It sold, what, 60, 70, 80 million? The Super Nintendo sold 40 million. The N64 sold maybe 9 or 10. Where are we going? I got to the elevator already. Turn around, go to the right. I don't think I can reach that. Yeah, I don't think I can reach that. Just a second. Okay, we'll just avoid that. Alright. Yeah, okay, I thought I was gonna be invincible, but that's okay. Up here? But yeah, the Nintendo 60... I mean, if you don't know, the Nintendo 64 bombed. Like, it just bombed. So then the GameCube comes out, and it doesn't sell much better. I think it sold maybe like 10 or 11 million units. Like, Sony ate everyone's lunch. I mean, it wasn't just Nintendo. So by the time the Wii came out, I mean, obviously they were doing way better. Okay, I finally used my missile here. By the time the Wii, again, I like that reflection explosion. So you can see Samus's eyes. That was a nice touch. Okay, I can't shoot that. It's not red. It's not red. I can't make it dead. How we doing? Okay, we're good. We have too many missiles. Where are we headed specifically? Well, when we get to another save point, we can end the video. I can't go up, can I? There's a red door up there that I can't enter because I don't have the right power up, I bet. We'll get to that later. We're going down swinging. Actually, we're not swinging yet. Where are we headed? Nah, we're fine. Yeah, did that Samus Remastered game come out on the Switch, or was it digital only? Because I know Metroid Dread came out. Yeah, I had Metroid Dread rented from the library, and I never played it. Yeah, I wasn't committed. I was too busy playing other games I enjoyed playing more. I never started playing it. I figured it's not going anywhere. The Metroid Dread might be one of those games that as soon as you find it, you have to rent it. But it's also one of those games that's like always in demand, I guess, if you're at the library. So if you're going to rent it, you might as well play it right away. Metroid Dread is a game I just felt the need to get out of my system. So when I rent it next time, I'll play it for like an hour and a half and probably put it down and never touch it again. Isn't to say it's going to be bad, just that Metroid games are good, but they're almost never that big of a deal to me. I played through Super Metroid because it was me revisiting my childhood and trying to come to grips with a game that I beat like 6 hours after I rented it. When I rented it on launch, and I beat it like a day later. I was like, I was still mad about that game, so I had to give it a fair shot by playing it again with the adult eyes. Because I was an edgy teenager expressing my distaste at an overly hyped video game that didn't meet my expectations. Super Metroid's fine. If I had to give it, I'd give it like a B or a B minus. Like, I know people worship that game, but I'm like, at some point I want a game that's more difficult and less handholdy, and Super Metroid is way too handholdy. But for a lot of people, it was their introduction to the Metroidvania subgenre of games. I remember I played the original Metroid, and again, I think it's almost impossible to play the game. Well, it's not impossible, but it's incredibly frustrating to try and map that game. It's the kind of game that if it came with an auto map, it would be a lot more manageable. So maybe, like, Metroid did get remade. Uh-oh, I can't go that way. So that little exclamation mark on the left-hand side of the screen goes up a lot when you're about to approach that door, so I might need that heat suit. So I guess we're headed towards Norfair, or the Norfair equivalent. Show me where the save spot is. Whoop, okay. Maybe I'm not supposed to go this way. I tend to believe I'm not supposed to go this way, so let's just call it. We'll head back up and come back later. So you have to mask the load times with elevators like most video games did back then. The early 2000s were weird. You had to deal with memory restrictions by using elevators to mask load times. Because, I mean, reading from a disc was a lot faster than it was back in the 1990s, but you still had to load a lot of data into memory, and it took a while. So you had to mask those load times. But again, the load times probably weren't that bad on the GameCube version, the original GameCube version, so this game is probably perfectly fine. The load times here are perfectly manageable. The game is incredibly smooth. Again, I wouldn't call it flawless, but the control is exactly what I wanted the control to be for a first-person shooter like this. I'm probably gonna have to call it. I can look for another morph ball exit, but I'm probably better off just calling it. So we'll save the game eventually when we get to where we're headed. Whoop, give me a second. Let me clear the crowd. I haven't used any of my missiles except to open doors. I guess I can go through that trouble later. That's the only way out, right? Yeah, pretty much. There's only 3 ways up. There's only 3 ways out of the cylinder, and one of them is probably a door I can't open because it's red, and I don't have the red power up or whatever the heck it is. It could be a power bomb door. I don't know. Because in Super Metroid, you got a bomb. And then you got a powered up bomb that can clear out a bunch of debris in the room. Or at least you'd have cleared out all the debris on the screen. Whoop that! Stupid. 3D, but again, you haven't seen me fall from platforms that often. So again, consider this a recommendation from that sense. Like the controls, very manageable. The platforming, very manageable. I mean, again, I would prefer a 2D game, but I lost that battle several decades ago. So what are you gonna do? I mean, Metroid Dread is a 2D game, so you know, problem solved. I know some people are probably mad that they made a Metroid game that was only a side scroller, but whatever. I know people feel some kind of way about not being able to play Switch games in 4K unless they go on the Pirate Bay and download ROMs from BitTorrent or something. I don't know. I mean, when Metroid Dread launched, I think it was a PC Gamer said, hey, or was it Polygon? It's like, hey, you can play in 4K on an emulator. And Nintendo probably freaked the heck out because they're like, hey, no one's going to want to buy this game that just came out because they can just download it from a ROM. They can download their ROMs. Go away. So are we done? Yeah, I think we're done. We need to go back the way we came and take the elevator up. But we already took the elevator to get here. Let's save our game, then we'll end the video with some wandering around. So we spent an hour playing this game, kids. That's more than I can stand on the Wii version. So I think we've accomplished something. It turns out that if your game has accessible controls, that you don't have to fight constantly, and you don't have to learn a new martial art, a video game can actually be made more entertaining and more accessible. So, I know some people are like, you know, playing this game in 4K on their PCs and their mouse looking everywhere. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. Don't need it. I'm sure some speedrunners will have some fun with it, but, you know, whatever. I can't be bothered. And we're going to turn around and hit that save spot. Which is over where exactly? I think it's over there. First of all, I think there might be one other place we need to visit. Give me a second. Yeah, can we go up? Was I able to go up? I don't think so. Yeah, I need a double jump, I guess, to go up. Which is another way you can tease future content. By saying, hey, eventually you'll be able to climb this bridge, but right now you can't reach it. But as long as you know it's there, when you learn the double jump ability, you can come back later. So that kind of game design I'm still a fan of. If I do my own games, I would definitely add more of that later. Kind of tease people a little bit. Was there a... I thought someone was trying to sneak up on me. Where are we going? Right. There's a door down there, isn't there? Down there. Yeah, I blew that up for reasons. Maybe that's important later. We'll come back later. Don't worry, it's not dead. It'll regenerate. Which, like a lizard's tail, or a gecko's tail specifically. I know some people think this is essential Metroiding. I mean, it probably is now. I would have told people to run away screaming from this game when it first came out because of, you know, the horrible controls in the Wii version. Again, I haven't played the GameCube version since it launched. I couldn't tell you how bad the controls are there. But I would say if you avoided this game, or if you bounced off it when it first came out, or when you played the Wii version, I would definitely give it another chance based on the controls being fixed. It makes the game a lot more accessible. And I think that's the opposite of a deal breaker. I think it's a deal maker at this point. So if you avoided this game, it might be time to come back and revisit it. I think they finally they solved the Metroid Prime problem by giving it an interface that actually does the game justice. By making these controls way more accessible. This is why you release remasters sometimes. You remake a game using modern game. Well, maybe you don't change the game's layout. Like, you don't change the design principles in that sense. But you make an old game look a little bit better You make it run better. Well, I mean, in this case, I think the original game ran at 60 frames a second. So they kept that, but they made it look better without significantly changing the art style. Like, this is how the game looked in my head. Like, it didn't look really, like, overly detailed in my head. Okay, I made it. I thought I couldn't make that jump earlier. Okay, the fog in my helmet's a nice touch, but it's kind of annoying. It's a nice touch, though. So can I reach any of those other blue doors? I guess I can go through that one on the right. I can end the video once I get through one of these other blue doors, I guess. But some of them are too high, so I can't reach them. I don't have the double jump yet. Yeah, we'll go this way and see what's in this direction. Because I forgot I couldn't go any further. So I wonder what was holding me back. Because again, I can't make any waypoints. I can't like lay down any markers or anything. Yeah, let's see what's holding me back. Maybe a morph ball might have been. Yeah, I think I needed a morph ball here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay, how we doing? And blow the door off. Hey, guys. Oh, yeah, these guys. Yeah, there's a boss here, and these guys are going to be the first enemies we face as soon as we beat the boss. I think these are the space pirates, so we're teasing the next video. So we're getting pretty close to the spot where I stopped playing in the GameCube version. So once I beat the next boss, that'll be pretty much where I stopped playing the game when it launched. So again, my memories of this game are extremely fuzzy. Like, one of the few things I remember about this game was the little, what do you call it? Whoops. Do I need a gravity suit? Yeah, I might need a different suit to deal with the water. War Wasp. Didn't I see you in the sectors? I don't have a grapple beam. Like I said, I guess we're teasing the next video. Oh, there is a north. There is a north. There is a compass pointing north. We'll figure it out. I do like the hex map layout, by the way. As all maps should be, they're hexed. They're hexed. Not squares. So can I go any further? That's a missile. I'm probably not going to need that. So I guess I don't need a gravity suit. I'm not going to drown, am I? Maybe I can pick up coins to keep my breath meter high, like in Mario 64. Can't double jump. Can I climb up here? Nope. It's a good thing I saved my game, so I don't have to deal with all this anymore. I don't have to deal with this again. I just want to see where I can go. Yep. Samus can't swim. At least not with this friggin' suit. So am I just stuck? I'm curious where I can go from here. Yeah, there's the missiles. So I can't go any further from here unless I get a different suit, probably. So I'm gonna need. So we're gonna end the video pretty soon, though. We got enough footage for a while. So I gave you an hour of Metroid Prime Remastered footage, kids. Yeah, so I'm stuck here, so I just can't climb this. And I can't jank my way up the wall either. Maybe a speedrunner could. I'm just not in the mood. Like I said, I'm perfectly fine with the way the game looks. It might be 1080p if I lower the resolution to 720p so I can capture 720p and keep the frame rate as high as possible. But I believe this game, when docked, will give you 1080p. Anything here I can shoot? I mean, it's setting off my danger meter, so it could be something important. Perhaps narratively important. So I'm just stuck here, aren't I? Yeah, there are two doors I can't reach. So am I supposed to wander around for the next 5 minutes figuring out where to go? That would be typical of a Metroid game, actually. I mean, it's not a lot, not too much shade in that comment, but just enough to make the point, I think. There might be another door I forgot to explore, so I'll probably have to wander around for the next 10 minutes looking for the next area. Again, the typical Metroid experience. There is a morph ball zone over there. I'm supposed to be able to... Eventually the morph ball can stick to walls, right? As I recall. That'll be important later. Okay, where's my ship? There we go. So let's call it. So it's time to break out the triumphant music, fam. We did it. We made it an hour into Metroid Prime after the prologue. We did good. So this audio is recorded using my Scosche earbud headphones into the audio splitter, then into the J5 Create USB-C connection into my quad-core Windows 10 laptop with the Windows 10 camera app capturing the 720p footage at 60 frames a second. And yeah, so it's time to break out the triumphant music. So we'll let the music play us out. See if I can find it. There we go. So I don't take back my opinion of Metroid Prime Trilogy. That game was frustrating. I didn't want to play it anymore. After like an hour, I had no interest in playing anymore. I'm willing to keep playing this. This is the version of the game that Nintendo should have made. This is the way the game should have played when it came out originally. So I think we did good.